Every business has a story, but there's one question every business should answer. Why should I choose you? Real businesses, real answers. Why should I choose you? A multimedia podcast series to help business focus in on the value they bring to their communities.
Hey, good afternoon, and thank you for joining us today on Why Should I Choose You? This is a special episode. We typically interview business owners in the community. We're now beginning to do some influencers, and I've been privileged to know Rich Caruso here for, over 25 years. We both worked together with Homeland Security. It feels like just yesterday, but I had, the privilege to meet Rich, and he's the kind of person that you just can't help but take away something from. He's always sharing and pouring his heart in everything he does. So I had to take a moment to interview Rich and just know a little bit more about him. But Rich, thanks for jumping on here, man.
Mikey, thank you for
Yes,
inviting me, and I'm honored to do this with you. And I had lunch with Mike about 2 months ago, and we were sitting there having lunch together, and he was wondering, what his purpose-driven life was going to be now that he's kind of stepping away from his business. And I told him basically that his voice was so strong and he has a great message, and that he needed to get out in the community and start shaking hands and squeezing necks and and having his voice heard. And he took that advice with him, and he prayed about it, and all of a sudden he calls me up a month later and says, Richie, is there any way I can interview you? And I go, what's going on? He goes, I listen to you, and I'm starting this channel, and I want to go around my community. I want to help the businesses and people in my community and highlight them on my channel. So I'm honored to be here, Mike. And as you know from our history, I'm from a small town in upstate New York. I went in the United States Marine Corps. I was a military policeman in the Marine Corps. I got out of the Marine Corps in the late 80s, and I started working in California in the prison system out in California. And I was working in a notorious prison they had just built called Corcoran State Prison. We had about 6,000 inmates at this prison, and we had the worst of the worst. Guys like Charles Manson, Sirhan, Juan Corona, they were all in my unit. All the Mexican Mafia members, all the Aryan Brotherhood members, Black Guerrilla family members, they were all inmates and convicts that I've worked with. And Pelican Bay hadn't been built yet, so Corcoran was where they were at. So at Corcoran State Prison, they were putting inmates out there on the yard, knowing the violence was going to happen, and they were shooting the combatants. And I was part of that inner circle to where basically, as a guy 6'4", 300 pounds, I was, the shield man going into the cells. I was always called to the violent inmates that we had to physically restrain. So I was getting closer and closer to that inner circle. And then it came a point to where I saw these inmates being placed out on these yards the size of a handball court, and they were getting shot. Some were getting killed, some were getting paralyzed. And as a gun officer, as a yard gun officer, we're sitting about 15 to 20 feet above that yard, and we have the weapons that we have to our disposal are H&K 9mm combine rifle, Mini 14 that shoots a full metal jacket, a 37mm that shoots blocks that like knee knockers, and we had over 2,000 shootings with the 37mm. So we had shootings going on every day. And I was seeing the same combatants sent out after they get in a fight and get shot with those blocks, get sent out 10 days later again, and sometimes they didn't come back. They were killed. And I started getting that moral compass inside me saying, this isn't right. So then I went up my chain of command like a good Marine, and I voiced my concerns and saying what we're doing here is wrong, and tried to stop the violence. And I was hushed away. So then at nighttime when I was working in the prison, I would secretly check out keys, and I would go inside the records office. I would go inside different parts of the prison, and I'd stuff evidence in my uniform, and I'd steal it out of the prison, and I'd take it back to my house. And that's when I contacted the FBI to hand everything over to the FBI, and ended up changing the system in California for the better forever, saving countless lives. Basically, I had 5 years of walking the walk out there still. Once I came forward and they knew who I was, I still had to go work inside that prison. And I mean, they put a hit on me to be killed, but the Mexican Mafia, the Aryan Brotherhood, the Black Guerrilla Family, all those gangs, those prison gangs, refused to do anything to me. They put a protective circle around me, and because they couldn't believe that a cop stood up to stop the violence of that was happening to their people. God has provided for me. I fought the system, and the system settled with me, and the system made me whole again. And I give back to my community. I talk to troubled youth. I go back inside. I talk to troubled inmates. I share my story to show you that it's so easy to go in that dark hole of negativity, but to be able to take that positive mindset and use that positive mindset to help others. I'll give you an example. I was down in Florida, it's about 4 or 5 years ago, and I had a Marine. He reached out to me from Texas, and he says, Richie, can I talk to you on the phone? I said, sure. I never met him, never knew who he was, and he reached out to me, and he said, Richie, he goes, I got back from Iraq, and he goes, I'm working in the oil fields, and he goes, it's like Groundhog Day, every day, the same stuff. And he goes, the first thing I do is in the morning, I get on Facebook, and I look for your page because you got your arm around a veteran, and it makes me smile to know that that love and that brotherhood is still out there. And I told him, I said, listen, I said, you know, you can do the same thing in your community. I said, I'm nothing special. I go, it just takes a little effort. And he goes, well, if I come up with something, he goes, will you support me? I said, sure, of course. I never thought I'd hear from him again. And then 3 months later, he called me up, just like you. And he said, Richie, can you meet me at Camp Lejeune, North Carolina? And I'm like, what's going on? And he goes, I sold everything. I have my truck, and I have a little trailer behind my truck. And he goes, you motivated me to walk across America and feed veterans and feed law enforcement. And I was like stunned. I'm like, wait a minute, whoa, whoa, whoa. I said, you're going to walk across in 6 months and do this, or 4 months, however long it took. I said, I tell you what, I said, if you do this, I'll have hundreds of Marines and law enforcement officers watching over you, guiding you, checking on you, and then I'll fly out to California and we'll walk into your old unit at Camp Pendleton together. And we did exactly that. He fed thousands of people across America. Mm-hmm. And it was just that positive attitude that fueled him, and then he took it on his own. And it was like with you, fueling you, now you're out there touching lives. And so the reason I share those moments is to motivate others to say, look at the love Caruso's getting from his community and across America, and he's really nothing special. He's just like me. The only thing he's doing is reaching out to that stranger.
Yeah.
And if I can motivate another to do that, that's why we're sitting here right now.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And that was what the birth of this why should I choose you came to life, was inspired by the fact that you take the time to ask the question or take the time to listen.
With no agenda.
To me, when I think about the question, why Rich, why do you do what you do? I believe you've answered it, but you want to speak to that a little, like what is it that drives you to be that guy?
Just the emotion that when I see in that person and when I leave him, mm-hmm. that he realizes that I cared.
No, you're absolutely right. And that's the hope that we want to bring with what we're doing, is just like what you do, be out there. And everybody has a different story. Yours was law enforcement, but doesn't define who you are. It's your heart that is. So we all have the opportunity and the heart to be able to help people. And whether you're in law enforcement or I was a contractor, I was successful at that. And when I exited that business, I realized that more people deserve an opportunity to go after their dreams in life, and a lot of times we get stuck.
My story, yes, it's compelling, it's interesting about prison and what happened inside that prison, and I made a movie about it. It's called Felon with Val Kilmer and Sam Shepard. It's streaming on all your streaming channels, but this is not why I'm here. Why I'm here is to show that I'm nothing special. I'm just like everybody else. The only thing that I do different is extend my hand and take a minute to learn who I'm talking to. Take a minute to share that man's story, because we both have tool chests. We have our tool chests, and we're sharing our wrenches and sharing our pliers and putting something beautiful together.
Absolutely.
We're not going like this.
Yeah, and that's what life, tool chest is not just a skill set that we both have different types and everybody's unique, but just like in sports or any kind of competitive dance, whatever the case may be, you have different players with different strengths.
That's right.
And everybody goes through different things at different times. So whatever setback or obstacle I might have been going through, or Rich, or Rich might be just getting out of that and can help me. And the same with the rest of the community that we're reaching out to, those of you that might be in business or raising families, whatever it is. Maybe you're going through something that one of us have already been through, and you don't know how to overcome it, and you want to turn to the wrong thing for a remedy. But hey, you can reach out to us. My number is 843-997-0228, and we would love to share about your business and why we should choose, or I should choose, your business for services. The other thing is I do got to give a quick plug to the man behind the curtain that no one sees back there, Jay Burgess. He is with Clean Feed Productions, tailor-made. He has many hats, and he's very skilled at what he does, and we can't forget to include the production team, because that's the ones that I think sometimes get forgotten along the way in all industry, right? Everything. The ones that are, and the behind the scenes and whatnot. But Rich, I really, really, really appreciate you. Thank you for your service.
I love you, brother. I love you.
I love you too, bro.
And
so much.
It's like this is the first time I met this man.
Yeah.
And I could see as we're talking, his eyes like popping up, like, really? Wow, really?
Yeah.
Wow. So hopefully he takes some of our story, and
yeah.
he puts it into his life, and the next time he walks by someone that a white woman that clutches her purse, maybe he reaches out and say, you don't need to do that.
That's right.
You don't need to do that.
That's right. And
and that's what's going to change the mentality.
That's what it takes. All of us have an opportunity to be that change, right? It sounds kind of cliche, but before you mentioned whether it's faith-based or you're going to a church. Someone once shared this with me, and I don't remember the one who quoted or wrote it, but it's speak the Bible often, but only use words when necessary. And if that's your platform, be that example, be that kind person, be the one who it takes a minute to listen, slow to anger, be peaceful. I mean, all of those things. But again, we so appreciate it. And Rich, man, you're awesome, brother. I appreciate you, man. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
All right. Thank you again. We appreciate you. Have a great day.
Every business has a story, but there's one question every business should answer. Why should I choose you? Real businesses, real answers. Why should I choose you? A multimedia podcast series to help business focus in on the value they bring to their communities.